These were once sacred, celebrated, hoarded, fought over. Now, a flavor, a ritual, a grain. They built empires and bound half the world to hunger and hope.
History began with trade winds. Every empire you've ever heard of started because someone wanted something they couldn't grow.
Taste isn't just pleasure, it's power.
The leaf, the bean, the grain, each carries centuries of control disguised as comfort.
The hands that feed the world rarely own the harvest. That's been true for 5,000 years, and it still is.
This is the foods that made us. Every flavor began somewhere, in a single seed, a single hand, a single chance encounter that changed the world's appetite. Long before Europe knew its own borders, the world was already bound by taste. Spice was not just flavor, it was promise and paradox. A few grains of pepper could buy a sheep in London or a slave in Alexandria. The same hand that seasoned dinner also financed war.
You could smell wealth before you saw it. Ships arrived heavy with pepper and cinnamon scents so rich the air itself felt expensive.
Even the rats were inspected in case they'd stolen the cargo.
For centuries, Arab sailors kept these routes secret. Their maps oral, their myths deliberate. They spoke of serpents guarding cinnamon groves, of dragons nesting in nutmeg trees. It was propaganda to protect a monopoly built on wonder.
انصح ما رعيت. الريح تعريف الطريق.
By the 13th century, Venice and Cairo had become gatekeepers of the world's flavor. Europe never saw the lands they came from, only the profit.
Inda à frente, e que Deus nos perdoe pelo que virá.
When Da Gama reached India, he found not heathen shores, but a sophisticated trading world. Gold and gospel arrived together, each hiding the other's ambition.
The Portuguese called it discovery. The records call it negotiation under canon.
मैं इन सस्तुओं के लिए और अधिक भुगतान नहीं करूंगा.
Spice didn't just fund exploration. It created the first global arms race.
The Dutch soon replaced the Portuguese, industrializing desire. In 1602, they chartered the Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, the VOC, the world's first multinational corporation. It could wage war, mint money, and rule colonies, all for the sake of a fragrance.
Geen zaad verlaat dit eiland. Geen enkel.
On the Banda Islands, the VOC massacred or enslaved nearly the entire population to control nutmeg. The air was sweet with death and spice. Behind those connections lay a new idea, that flavor could justify dominion.
By 1700, you could trace the entire planet through a kitchen shelf. Pepper from India, sugar from Barbados, cloves from Ambon. Spice was the internet of its age. It connected everything and controlled nothing.
Cartographers drew continents around appetite.
Maakte Indië groter. Ze moeten de reis waard lijken.
Yet spice also carried knowledge. Botany, navigation, finance, sciences born from curiosity and greed. The first stock exchange traded not in paper dreams, but in fragrance.
When you follow a scent, you follow a story. Every kitchen today is a museum of conquest and exchange.
By the 18th century, the world was spinning faster, ports humming with trade, hearts racing with desire. But the next obsession would no longer come from a tree. It would come from a leaf. In the mountains of China, leaves once brewed for healing became a meditation on patience.
為什麼我們頂在度假？
因為樹必須記得生，只有這樣，家才會記得我們。
Tea slowed time. It turned water into ceremony, and ceremony into civilization.
Every gesture means something. The pour, the silence, the breath before you drink, they're all acts of respect.
Yet even the purest ritual could not stay untouched by profit. When tea reached Europe, it carried whispers of virtue. A drink of gentility, refinement, even moral hygiene. But inside every porcelain cup floated the labor of distant fields. Tea was marketed as moderation, but it thrived on addiction, to caffeine, to sugar, to the illusion of control.
By 1700, the British East India Company wasn't just selling tea. It ruled land the size of kingdoms. A corporation could now declare war for a commodity, and often did.
To balance the tea trade, Britain flooded China with opium grown in Bengal.
The Opium Wars began over profit margins disguised as morality.
Trade is neutral, my friend. Only profit takes sides.
When the Chinese emperor tried to stop the poison, Britain called it interference in free trade.
Leaves for dreams, dreams for silver, a symmetry of ruin. On the other side of the world, another rebellion was brewing, this one in cold salt water. The Boston Tea Party wasn't about the price of a drink. It was about who owned the right to flavor freedom.
Tonight we drink salt water instead of tyranny.
The same leaf that soothed empires also sparked revolutions. When Britain lost China's monopoly, it planted its own, transforming the hills of Assam and Ceylon into seas of green.
You too! Back to work!
The workers were not citizens. They were subjects, bound by debt and distance. By the late 1800s, tea had conquered the globe, a ritual of empire disguised as comfort. Afternoon tea became a stage. Lace, porcelain, and etiquette masking extraction.
Milk first, it's the civilized way. Civilized for whom?
The tea table was Britain's theatre of power. Who poured, who waited, who was invited, every gesture rehearsed the hierarchy of empire.
The leaf that promised peace became a mirror for the age, refinement on the surface, exploitation beneath. But from that same soil, new meanings would grow. Empires rise on taste, but they also fall to hunger. And somewhere beyond the plantations and parlors, another crop waited, humbler, older, essential. Long after the ships stopped sailing and the spice routes faded, another story kept us alive, one rooted in water, patience, and the rhythm of rain. Rice is older than metal, younger than memory. It tamed rivers, taught us irrigation, and carved mountains into mirrors. In the valleys of the Yangtze, it became more than food. It was a philosophy of balance.
Where wheat follows sun, rice follows water. It taught entire civilizations to think in cycles, flood and drain, give and take.
Rang tuk ku nâu, mu tuk ngạ.
From China and India, it spread east and west, adapting to every climate and faith. To eat rice was to join the oldest communion on earth. Across the Indian Ocean, sailors carried rice with them, not just as food, but as identity. When Africans were enslaved and shipped to the Americas, they carried its secrets too.
They brought knowledge of tidal irrigation, soil, and seed. Without them, Carolina's rice empire would never have risen. That knowledge was stolen, but it survived in the harvest.
Each stalk in those plantations was a memory planted in exile. Rice became both prophet and resistance, a grain that refused to forget.
If this one lives through drought, maybe it feeds 10 million.
And if it doesn't?
Then we start again.
In the 20th century, famine haunted half the planet. Scientists raced to breed stronger rice, shorter stalks, higher yields. It was called the Green Revolution.
High-yield rice saved millions, but at a cost. Monocultures narrowed diversity. Soil and water paid the price. We solved hunger, but created fragility.
Every innovation carried a question: how to feed more without erasing what we feed from. In the terraces of Bali, farmers still rotate crops with ducks and fish, a 1,000-year-old ecosystem that never needed a lab.
Yang bebek mainnya nan dulu barunya nan jani. Yen bebek nih ngabisang kabeh. Berarti bebek nih kerja luwih kerasnya nan.
Ancient wisdom still holds what science keeps rediscovering, that the oldest systems are often the most sustainable.
Rice isn't just sustenance. It's the choreography of cooperation. Humans, water, sun, and time dancing together.
In every language, the word for meal often means rice. In every harvest, gratitude echoes across faiths. Even now, as climate shifts and seas rise, this grain endures, patient, adaptable, alive.
आहिस्ते खाओ ये हजार हाथों का काम है
It fed empires and families alike, and in every grain, we still taste the patience of the earth. Spice gave us desire, the fire that connected continents. Tea gave us order, the ritual that built and broke empires. Rice gave us life, the sustenance that still feeds us all. Together they turned hunger into history, appetite into empire, and survival into art. These are the foods that made us, and still make us, every day.